Brits are furious today, absolutely furious, as the government has let the people down yet again. Let's go straight into the shared screen here and have a look at what has been announced. Okay, let's begin with the first main point then, and this was out of the Telegraph. Income tax rise, least damaging way to fix black hole, Reeves told. Now, I've been going through all of the data on this. This is one story. The other one is also not good at all, because the figures have finally been released on where all of the universal credit and welfare payments have been going. And you can guess, there was no shock for me, but you can guess where a lot of this money has been going. We'll get into that in a moment. So here's the biggest story of the day then. Rachel Reeves has been told by these apparent economists, of course. This is an easy way for her to sort of shrug it off her own shoulders, her and Keir Starmer. So she's been told raising income tax in next month's budget is the least damaging way to plug this £30 billion black hole in the public finances. It was 52 billion, then it was 40 billion, now it's just 30 billion apparently, if you believe all that. So what have they said? They said, don't worry, we will only be looking to add 3p to the basic and higher rates of income tax for you, but this will be in your best interest. Really? Increasing our taxes is in our best interest. Okay, so she said, don't worry, it will only be 3p. Now, this is very misleading, first of all. It's disingenuous, because it's not just 3p. This is 3% increase on top of what is already staggering rates of tax on a global scale that people in the UK pay. Staggering rates of tax. So they've said that this will be the least harmful way to help you to plug this black hole. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you at all. She said rather than ramping up VAT, so VAT they were considering ramping up to anywhere up to 25%. That's sales tax if you're not from the UK. Also corporation tax, saying that this will help businesses because they're not looking to raise corporation tax. All this whole host of smaller taxes. So this is the oldest trick in the book. They say, we're going to do all these loads of taxes, or to make it easier for you, we could just raise your income tax by 3%. And I'll show you how stupid, I will use the word, some people are when I'll show you this poll in a moment of what people actually click to vote for. I mean, oh gosh, help us. So this comes amid a wave of calls, thousands of economists. I almost swore there. Nonsense. Who are these thousands of economists? Someone tell us, who are these thousands of economists? It's nonsense. Told her she needs to focus her efforts on income tax, which raked in £305 billion last year. Wow. The Resolution Foundation, an influential left-leaning think tank, has proposed adding an additional 2p to income tax. So 5p. It has to come from a influential left-leaning think tank, doesn't it? The Institute for Government has also argued that tax increases should fall on those with average incomes because the rich have already been paying more than their fair share. Huh? The Institute for Government, who is funding those people? Obviously some very wealthy backers. And actually, you might say, gosh, thank goodness no one's that stupid to go along with them. Wait till I show you what it looks like they're going to do. The rich are not going to be taxed additionally at all. It actually is going to fall on the average earners. It says even the Institute of Directors, which represents company bosses, has said the government must raise income tax to stabilise the national finances, not on companies. Why on earth would they say that? Isn't that interesting? Okay, let me show you this segment here then. Okay, so should Rachel Reeves raise income tax in her November budget? 41% of people that read the Telegraph, which is shocking to me, said yes. Yes, 41% of turkeys just voted for Thanksgiving or Christmas. it's crazy. 5,733 votes for this. It is unbelievable. Please let me know in the comments if you think this is as crazy as I do. Ed Cornforth, a leading economist, said a rise in income tax is the Chancellor's least damaging, most reliable option for putting the economy on a sustainable, secure footing. Really. Now, do you remember what Labour's election manifesto promised? They promised you, they gave you their word, as their integrity. They committed to it. It was ironclad. Do you remember what that was? We won't raise your taxes, income tax, and all these other taxes. We will not do that to you. That is our pledge. We will not do. What do you even say to that? What do you even say? The Chancellor has also repeatedly pledged to protect working people. Now, let me show you what they're about to do. So she's going to protect working people, right? Well, here are the proposals. Here we go. Pushing the basic rate to 23% and the higher rate to 43% would cut households' disposable incomes by more than 1.5% in the first year. This is on top of all the inflation people have been hit with. So here it is, the basic rate, £12,571 up to £50,270, which, by the way, this is another trick. I'll tell you the trick in a moment. So they're going to put this from 20% up to 23%, and the higher rate from 40% to 43%. You're basically almost on the additional rate, which they're not going to raise. So this is people who earn over 125,000 who are on the 45%. So they're not actually going to go after people who earn over that amount. They're going after people who earn within these brackets. That is unbelievable to me, that the Labour Party of all parties, you can imagine it with some others, they're going to go after the working class people. That, I don't know what you think to that, but that surprised me. That really, really shocked me. Now let me tell you the trick, that actually this is a double taxation. So typically what would happen is you're not going to raise taxes because it's unpopular with the people, but they know they've lost the people anyway. They know they're going to get voted out. But what you would do is you would raise, so you would keep the percentage the same, like 20% tax, but you would raise the band. So it wouldn't say 12.5 to 50,000. What they'd do is they'd say 12.5 up to 60,000, 70,000, because there's been so much inflation that you've already been taxed, that the inflation is the tax. So that's what they would typically do. Have they done that? No. So not only have they not frozen it, they've increased it as well. So it's not a 3%, it's more like a 10% increase. So this 1.5% reduction in disposable income is not accurate. I don't know what economist did the math on that, or the maths for my English followers, but it's wrong. There's no way it's going to reduce it by only 1.5%. It's going to reduce it by huge amounts. So there's a little bit more on this. In fact, okay, let me move on to the next story here. This is a bad one. In fact, before we even talk about that, let me just say one other thing before we talk about this bad story. If you are getting hammered right now, absolutely hammered, remember there's lots of solutions that you can do. I've talked about these in different videos. I've got playlists and things like that. So there's different solutions. I've also got my private community, the Patreon. You can look in there. We've got a massive forum, everything from pensions to tax to all sorts of other things, earn additional income, entrepreneurship. There's so many options that you've got. Taxes and legally reducing taxes and all sorts of other things. How to escape the country, right? There's a lot you can do. But one of the top suggestions I would have for you is I've got you've probably seen this program that I've mentioned a few times before, which isn't on sale very often. But what I'll do is I'll put this on sale today. This is the Rapid Cash Flow Builder program. That is one of the top programs I've got, because it teaches you how to do, I mean, similar to work to what I do. If you think about what I've switched my income from, being lower income, not earning a lot of money, minimum wage, to where I am today, you've got to think, well, how did Neil do that? Obviously, did he go to university? Did he get some sort of grant? Didn't do any of that. I read a lot of books, studied a lot of material, put it into practice, did the graph, did the hard work. And if you think of all those years I spent on that, all of these years to the age I am now, I turn that into a program for you. And it teaches you, it's basically 3 courses in one. It's crazy. It's 3 courses in one. People say it's like drinking from a fire hose. Because it doesn't just teach you entrepreneurship and money and finance, but it teaches you what I would call the system that is the only system that's going to be relevant in the years to come because of AI, digitalization, automation, things like that. So it teaches you how to create sort of a business that's future-proofed, and how to create these income streams and cash flow, and that's future-proof. For anyone who's taken the program, they can leave a comment and tell you how powerful this program is. So I'll put that on sale today. It doesn't go on sale very often, that course. I'll knock 90% off. So for anyone who feels that's right, you can, and I'll give you a 30-day money-back guarantee on it, or you can swap it onto another course. I mean, you can't say fairer than that. Now let's go on to the other article, and the link for that is below in the description. I want to go on to the other article because this is crazy. Are you ready for this one? 1/6 of cash for benefits, so welfare recipients, was handed to foreigners. This is crazy. £10 billion of universal credit went to non-UK citizens last year. So here's the first thing I'd say. Why are people not in the streets saying, hold on, you want to raise my taxes to then give it to people who are not even, they're not even British citizens? How does that make any sense? How does it make that make sense to me? It makes no sense. People are becoming poorer and poorer and poorer. They're getting taxed more and more and more. And the government's taking that money and just giving it to people who are not from this country. And look, I have sympathy for a very small minority of those people, but not all. When you're seeing these videos non-stop all the time, and you see these crime statistics now, and look, it's not racism. It's not racist to talk about statistics. That is the sort of propaganda that's been put out there. They say it's racist to even talk about these statistics. No, it's not. It is the facts. It's any logical, rational human being that cares about their country and their family will look at the facts, right? And you look at what's going on. Terrible some of the things that are going on. And you're paying. So not only is it happening, but you're paying for this to happen to you and your family now. I was saying how I've been going through a lot of these UK cities, and just in the last 5 years since I've been doing this and making these videos on these cities, I am staggered. Okay, staggered. I was speaking to this older couple yesterday, because I was saying I was in Harrogate, etc. And there's a lot of pensioners, a lot of retirees that I've been speaking to, because that's who's in this area, very affluent. And a lot of them say, oh yeah, well, we've moved away from this city. And other people say, oh, we've moved away from that city. One guy called it a hellhole. Another lady was saying, drugs and crime and the police. She actually called it lawless. She said it's lawless in where she'd come from. And it's true. It's absolutely true. Let me read you a couple of points from this article then. It said, foreign nationals now receive £1 in every £6 that are paid out that should be going to Britain's poorest in the community. Internal government data published for the very first time, this has never been published before, show more than £10 billion was paid in universal credit to non-citizens last year. The data released under a Freedom of Information request There you go. That's where it came from. Do you know what? We should all just do these non-stop, all the time, freedom of information requests, and just send it to me, please. Anything you uncover, send it to me. I will disclose it on this channel. I will put the truth out there. 10 billion of the 60 billion went to non-nationals, it says, or 16.5%. I've got a chart here, and this. Please look at this chart closely, because this shows you the truth. This was 2022. It was 6.3 billion. So this has been, they're not showing you further back than this, because the number would be down here. 22, 6.3. 24, 7.9. 2024, 10.1 billion. And it gets worse. One moment. Okay, this is the forecast. Can you see this on screen? Recent arrivals could cost taxpayers £234 billion. That's not a typo. And they also said, this is from the Centre for Policy Studies, 800,000 foreign nationals could claim ILR, which is indefinite leave to remain. That means they would be entitled to benefits, unemployment, sickness, free treatment on the NHS. Ladies and gents, this is why I say you've got a very small window of opportunity to solve this before it's irreversible. And I think some aspects of what have taken place now are irreversible, or it will take a long time, many years to fix the issues that are current. But there are solutions. You know, they're not popular solution, probably not popular opinion, but I tell you what I would do if I was Prime Minister right away. I'd use the Royal Navy to stop all the crossings. I'd put pressure, well, good luck putting pressure on the EU. I'd use the military. I know some of you are going to say, I'm unsubscribing, Neil, you're an extremist, right? I'd use the military. Sorry, you guys all need to go home, back to where the people who are causing all the crime, all the gangs, all the, you know what, straight away, use the military, get rid of them, send them back. And you think some of the countries that some of the worst offenders are from are the exact countries where British troops were fighting for years. You know, you look at Afghanistan, Iraq, and some of these other countries. And then you let them in. It's like, it's madness. I don't know what you think, but I think it's madness. Wow, we've already been talking for ages, and I haven't even gone through most of my stories here, so this will be a bit of a longer stream. Let's do it. Why not? Yvette Cooper defends children as young as 13 needing digital IDs. What a surprise. What a surprise. It was meant to be just for working, to stop people who shouldn't be working from getting paid. It's not going to solve that anyway. We've talked about that. We've covered that. But now children need it. Oh, of course. Children, 13-year-olds need a digital ID. That is the plan. This is the plan all along. Let me know your thoughts on that. Okay, this was one. Okay, now I keep saying that I feel like the country's going to go towards socialism at this rate. You're going to see like this. You're going to see two parties, I feel, form. And I don't want to use names of the parties, but because we don't know which way it'll go yet. But you're going to see this like very far left party growing, probably the Greens, someone like that. And they're going to announce all sorts of socialist policies, right? And people will vote for it because you're seeing the sympathy for that growing massively on the polls. But then you're going to see some sort of right-wing parties, and I think they will be quite extreme at first, and people will vote for that. Now, am I saying that's the right thing? No, I don't think anything on the extreme end is good. But I think what will happen is, because you read history, you know me, I read history, I read every day, I'm reading non-stop. I think it's important for me with the work I do. And you read history, and that's what happens. You do have an extreme left or an extreme right that comes in when people are at that breaking point where they'll just say, I will accept anything at this point, just solve the problems. And I think you're going to see some bad stuff whichever way it goes, but then I think you're going to see the balance. That's what I think we'll see. We'll come back to balance later. You just got to survive through it. But let me show you this one that I saw. This was out of the BBC. Green Party backs plan to see the end of private landlords. So they want to actually abolish. Now, this is what I was disappointed. Well, I'm disappointed anyway with a lot of it, but they don't just want to abolish the private landlords. No. Or should I say, they only want to abolish the private landlords. But I started looking into, and don't read it, it's a big boring document. But I started looking into the sort of hedge funds, the pension funds that are buying up all of the property in the UK, right? They want to be the biggest landlords. Well, private landlords are only 19% of the stock anyway. It's not like it's huge. But the pension funds, hedge funds, they're growing massively and they're going to be the biggest landlords. Greens are fine with that. No problem. They're fine with that. They just don't want private individuals to be landlords. It's crazy. It's craziness. In fact, a few other things they said. They said that they don't want individuals to make a profit, so they'll use regulation and taxes to make it impossible to make a profit. They'll impose rent controls. Here we go. Ending buy-to-let mortgages, making them illegal in the UK, and they'll give councils the right to buy properties. They also said that they'd set up a state-owned housing manufacturer to mass produce high-quality council housing for local authorities, because that won't go wrong at all. They'll also levy national insurance on rental income, which, according to the Financial Times, by the way, this is a measure that the Chancellor right now is considering. She's actually considering putting national insurance on rental income. So there we go. I saw this one as well. A lot of people, you see it a lot. Why is she so desperate to keep China on side? She's, non-stop. China, suckering up to China. She loves China. And we finally found out the reason today why she sort of loves China so much. And I think this is baffling. So let me show you the stat on it. Let me just load it up actually here. Here we go. So here's the stat on why she loves China. Because they buy £29 billion worth of products from us, the UK, every year. Yeah, but the UK buys 71 billion in products from China. So there's a deficit of 42 billion pounds per year. Does that make any sense to anyone? I mean, it's madness. It's crazy, all these things. Okay, and just to show you the impact that this is having, all of her policies are having, have a look at this. Historic ironmongers shut down after 104 years, and they say that her tax rises are to blame. And it's true. These tax rises are to blame. They're wiping out businesses. They've had to shut after 104 years. So they've said it was due to national insurance rises, minimum wage rises, her budget last year, an increase in their rent by their greedy landlord. I thought that was a funny one. The greedy landlord. And constant roadworks outside their shop. So this has been going on for years. Roadworks, just non-stop for years, because the council, and this is what you hear me talk about this a lot as well. You hear how it bugs me whenever I come over from the Isle of Man to the UK and I'm driving around. I'm in a traffic line. What is going on? There's 4 lanes here on the motorway. Why is only 1 or 2 lanes open? Cones. 30, 40, 50 mile cones. I get to the end of the cones. There's nothing going on. Or there's one man in an orange jacket just stood there. Or he's on his phone. Sorry to you road workers. But you know it's true. You know it's true. It's like, sometimes they close the road off a week even before they're going to do the work. It's infuriating. The loss of productivity must be unbelievable due to these crazy policies. So one of the road workers is going to say now, no, Neil, it's because I need to be kept safe or something. I don't know. I mean, a week beforehand to be kept safe, I don't know. But have you noticed this? And all the road closures, the slowdowns, anything. Here was a story that made me almost spit out my water here. Okay, ready for this one. A man who discarded a single cigarette butt outside a shop was fined over £1,600. Yet, This is all I've seen on my trips around UK cities. This is what I see non-stop. It's just these rubbish dumps. It just dumps everywhere you go in some of these cities. It's just fly tipping. Why aren't they? Why aren't they? They've gone after a British guy who they know he's a British guy, so they've gone after him. But some of the people dumping, they're not going after these people. And if you are in the UK and you're going to be going to Europe anytime soon, expect 4-hour queues with the new EU border rules, apparently. But you know what? And if you zoom in here, this is what you're going to need. Your document, which is your passport, facial scan and retina scan, your fingerprints, which is what he's doing there, and a questionnaire. That's a coincidence. That's just come in at the same time as the digital ID and a few other things being announced. That's very interesting indeed. Part of a global system. Yes, very indeed interesting. But you know the hypocrisy of it. This is the one that made me just laugh, as it were. The hypocrisy is it could take up to 6 times longer if you're driving through to Calais now as well. But they're saying up to 4-hour delay. You'd be faster just going on a dinghy. You'd be faster getting on a dinghy going across for some people. It's you look at how many people are crossing to the UK on dinghies and other things illegally, and yet if you have a passport and you're a legal citizen, they make it really difficult for you to get into the country. I don't know. I think the whole thing is mad. Everything's going crazy. Everything's going mad. Definitely check out the program though. Check that out when you get a moment. It's in the description below. Have a look at that. See what you think of it. I think you'll like it. I think have a look at what other people have said. Read the testimonials. It's a great program. It will help to solve not everyone's problems, but some people's problems. Because the solution with some of this is to give yourself freedom. You know, if you give yourself enough freedom, you can laugh off some of this stuff. You know, yes, it's annoying, it's frustrating, but at least you don't have to be a prisoner to all of it. All right. Thanks for being online. Thanks for being a subscriber here. Take care. God bless. See you on the next one.